we are faced with a very serious crisis. And the moment the crisis come in, the next thing is panic. The moment panics come in, the next thing is wrong decisions. You forget the history of how God has brought you far. You forget how God has helped you since childhood to where you are today. Is there anything? The writer says, is there anything difficult before the Lord? We mostly find ourselves forgetting where God has brought us, or we forget the power of God when we were down there. We now look at the problem and see the problem being bigger than the testimony we have against God. This is what we should take in from the whole story of here. Do not forget what God has done. Have a file of what God has done, because the same file will help you deal with what you are facing now. Wishing to die. How many people wish to die? Some people commit suicide. Why? Because they feel that whatever they are facing is so big, it cannot be solved. And the next thing they commit suicide. You saw so many people committing suicide, either by throwing themselves into the bridge, throwing themselves to be hit by a car, or shooting themselves. Whichever case, once you are facing a problem, just know that there is a God who knows what you are going through and is willing. He doesn't only know, is willing to help you come out of it, as long as you go to him. Who has anything to put on the Sunday part? Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. No. God showed up. He did not ask. Question to the class, please. That's yeah, that's good. Yes.
God is with us, and that is who He is. They have a presence of God is manifested to whoever believes. He is with us. He is with us where, even though we don't think that He is. And that is what makes Him God. He is omnipresent. It's what makes Him God. Whether you acknowledge it or not doesn't take away His omnipresence. And it's only when you acknowledge it, then He sees that your heart is in tune with Him. Then He begins to act. Sometimes He didn't act without us asking. Look at all of us taking in oxygen at the moment. How many of us have asked God to give us oxygen?
None.
But He still knows that it is good for us to make us live. So He provides the oxygen for us for free. Now, how many of us can afford the oxygen in the hospital if you were to buy it every day like we're taking oxygen? So God gives us what we need, whether we ask for it or not. It is the one of the traits of a good parent, providing to the children what they need, whether they are being stubborn or they are being good. Now, to take it a little step further is to acknowledge and to thank Him for what He has done for you. And that is where your relationship counts. The closer you are with God, the more you acknowledge what He's done for you for free without even asking. And if you have no relationship with Him, you take everything that He grants to you for granted. And that is very painful. Now, if you continue to actually give present or be good to somebody who cares too good, who doesn't care too good about what you do, it is more than not doing anything at all. So we as humans always have to acknowledge God what He does for us. Whether we agree or disagree, He cares. And that we should be thankful for Him at any point.
Thank you. Thank you. Has that answered your question? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyone else who has something to put on the Sunday part? If none, let's look at when prayers seems unanswered. That is the most critical part. I yes, exactly. You have even put it more right. When prayer sin it means it is not really, it is not that it is not answered, it is how you are perceiving it, how prayer seems unanswered. Perhaps you have prayed about something for a long time, maybe even years, and it feels as if God hasn't heard your prayer. The Bible tells us, ask and it shall be given to you. That is in the book of Matthew 7:7. If we ask anything according to his will, that is in the book of John 1 John 5:14. Now, the author of the lesson is asking, what is your understanding about these promises? The two promises, ask and it shall be given. And if you ask anything according to God's will, it shall be done. Now, the most crucial thing we should look at here is why some prayers seems not answered, or why some prayers are never answered, because there are some prayers which will never be answered. What makes prayer not to be answered? Yeah, what makes prayer sometimes not to be answered, or what are some of the criteria that govern prayer? Now, the author of the lesson is giving us here some of the most important criteria that govern prayer. The first criteria is giving us here is seek God's will, not your own will. These are principles that govern prayer. In most cases, we are very selfish. In most cases, we are very selfish. And in most cases, we don't want God to do things as God. We want Him to do things as we want Him to do. And that's where we sometimes go wrong. So let's today look at some of the criteria. It says, one, seek God's will, not your own will. The second consideration is say, consider your motive. This is the most important part. Consider your motive. Last week lesson, we had a lesson part which says uh, position. Was it the title was the position of posture? Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for that correction. The posture. And when I stood here, I say the posture of your heart matters. Because the posture of your heart reveals the motive of your heart. The difference between the two prayers, the question Guanamanyura asked and the question our elder answered here is, you can have a very genuine prayer and it is in public. And that prayer is genuine because it's not to show off of what you are doing, but it is a situation you have found yourself. And that time you found yourself when you are in public. Sometimes even the spirit you can't control. There are some prayers when you pray, you no longer have control of even yourself. Have you ever found yourself crying? And when you say amen, you realize you had tears. You never had tears coming out of your eyes. You didn't know the volume of the prayer you are praying. But later on, someone will tell you, hey, what was happening? I heard you making some noise. You see? Because you didn't know. After that, the Spirit took it over. And now you are no longer yourself. You see, sometimes when the Spirit takes over, you might seem like you are drunk. And that is why Eli asked in the temple, Anna, are you intoxicated? Are you drunk? Because the mouth of Anna was moving, but no words was coming out. These are now how the Spirit can take over, and you might not realize. And that is an accurate prayer. It's okay. But if you intentionally go to the public to show off that you are eloquent in prayer, you are eloquent in this, the motive is diluted. You are no longer serving the purpose of God or the purpose of prayer. You are now serving a selfish purpose. For you want recognition from the people. A second thing is think about whether you have a cherished sin. You see, you know, and most of us get ourselves in this. There are some sin that we are not willing to let go, despite the fact that we need the presence of God in our life. But there are some sins that we have cherished so much that it is better to lose God than to allow that sin go. Those are the things that sometimes stops God from answering our prayer, because you have not surrendered yourself to Him. You have surrendered a quarter of yourself. You know, when you are testing the waters, you go and dip the water, and then you are testing, but you are not willing to go to jump in. When you are dealing with God, come fully and jump in complete. Another thing here he says here, abide in God and His word. Abide in God and His word. In previous lesson, we saw Jesus saying, abide in me as I have abide in my Father. You see? And we look at again the vine and the branches. Here, if a branch falls down from the tree, what happened to that branch? Automatically to dry. But if you come the same time the branch has fallen, will you not think this branch has life? You might think this branch has life. But when you go 3 days later, you will come, the leaves have withered. When you come 7 days later, he doesn't have leaves. All the leaves are fallen down. And when you chop the branch, seems to be dry and wet at the same time, but it is losing water. It is losing water. Why? Because it is no longer attached to the vine, to the tree that gives life. What does this mean? Sometimes we step out of God and things look like they are okay. But in real sense, with time, you find that you have driven away and now you are in the hands of Satan. When temptation comes, he is able to destroy you because Satan is very clever. You know, sometimes we undermine to teach about Satan. Satan is not the small being whereby people always say, Kanyaga, Kanyaga. No, he's a crafty being. He has a mission. He has a purpose. He knows where he's going. And the Bible says he knows that his time is short. So whatever he does is very calculative. For him to destroy you, he first isolates you. And he isolates you from who? He isolates you from God. Because he knows any arrow that he will throw at you, that arrow will hit you. Because you don't have a shield. Are you saying that? So the first thing is he isolates you. That is why he makes you depart from the vine. And once you have departed, Now he gets time to deal with you. He tells you, you can go and test the life out there. You know, life is good. You start the first day, you go partying. You start, maybe you go clapping. The next thing, your friends introduce you to very beautiful ladies. The next thing, are you seeing how you are going? The next thing, you have developed an habit. The next thing, you can't live without it. The next thing, you found yourself in the world. And that is how people have. No one was ever born out there in the world. Everyone was ever born on the side of God, where parents guides you. Yes, Pastor, I will give it to you. Let me just finish these ones, and then you'll come in, and then we will close that day. Thank you. So those are how he says, abide in him. And how do you abide in him? Through prayers. How often do we pray? That was in the part of introduction. It was how often do we pray? And it needs to be sincere. We have people who only pray on Saturday, yet they are Christian. But the only day he prays is the day that he's coming to church. To church. All his other days, he's waking up and go and go. That is why I used Elder Manura, because he's someone who can understand. When I use him as an example, when we have our loved one, I will still use you, Bwana Manura. You know, you have stayed here for some time, yeah? How often were you calling Mrs. Manura back home? Be honest, just be honest. She's there, she can confirm. Yes, daily. You see, that is very important. Consistency. You see, you use the word daily. Why are you not busy? You can't remember. But no, no, not for them. In your life, we are extremely busy. But you have always found time to call them. The same way you cannot give an excuse that I was busy, I didn't get time to pray. Are you seeing that? That's why I brought that. So that you get the more practical example. Yeah. For those people who are still in a dating zone, those people make even 5 calls a day. Is that not true? Let's, let's make lesson interesting. Is that not true? It is, because all of us have been in that stage before we got married. Yeah, that means that you should value the relationship you have and create time for it. This is also the relationship we have with God. We should value it and create time for it. For it. This is the key thing I'm driving in a more practical way. God also tend to need to have a personal relationship with us. And the closer you are to God, the closer his ear is to you. The reason Pastor asked, God came to Elijah before even he prayed. You know, Elijah prayed, but he didn't pray exactly as praying, but he was speaking, and God could hear what was in his heart, and he had to come. Why? Because God has been part of this man all through. And God is concerned with this man. He's concerned when Elijah is down. He's concerned when Elijah is lamenting. That is the same way when we attach ourselves to God. The time we are down, He will come even before we alter our word. Because He could hear what we have. My wife is here. Sometimes when I come, I didn't tell her anything. But she can read my moods and tell me, hey, babe, are you okay? Are you seeing that? Are you okay? I've not said anything, but she's able to tell that I'm not okay. Why? Mrs. Manyura cannot know whether I'm okay or not because I have not had a relationship with her. But she can be able to tell. This is a more practical way. God, the more we are closer to Him, the more He's able to even act on our behalf before we speak. Let's proceed before we dilute what we were saying. And another thing here is say that have faith when you pray. The Bible say, without faith, we cannot please God. you must believe that He's able to answer you or solve your problem. That is where we go wrong when we think God is not able to answer this, and that is why others commit suicide. The problem is too big. No, 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 no. This one I cannot pray. No. You pray. Have faith that God is able to solve. If He's able to create the universe, what is your problem? Another thing He says here, consider the state of your heart, into bracket, humble or proud. That is why the Pharisees were quoted. The Pharisees were so proud because they wanted praise from the market people. They were so proud and arrogant because they reached a point where they felt their righteousness has been affirmed, not by God, but by people. And our previous lessons, we looked at it at humility. Yeah, we looked at it humbleness and pride. God had a prideful heart, but God exalt an humble heart. Another thing there is persevere. Persevere. When you are looking the story of Anna up there, Anna didn't go to the temple that day and pray the first time. No. But that day, Anna knew God has heard me because she persevered with time. Another thing here it says, forgive others. Forgive. This is the hardest part of a Christian life. Forgive others. Kuna watu wameshaapa kabisa. Sorry to use, that's a Swahili word, sorry. We have people who have sworn that I will never forgive this person. And he's a Christian and he says, I will never forgive. Why? The Bible says, forgive. And the Bible says, if you want to give an offering and you have offended one of your brother, leave and go and apologize first and come and give what? An offering. That is how important forgiveness is. Are you seeing that? Do not bear people in your heart, because the more you bear people in your heart, it hinders your prayers to be answered. Another thing here he says, ultimately, God sees the bigger picture and knows what is best for us. Sometimes his answer merely is as it was for Paul. My grace is sufficient for you. You know, God knows what is best for you. And you should know, you should have faith that God knows what is best for you. I'm lucky there are things I pray for. But once I pray for, I leave them in the hand of God. Let Him deal on that matter as He pleases, not as I wish. Yeah. One day someone asked me, why did you leave it? Why? You're like, I didn't leave it. I handed it over. You know, there is something you have left, and there is something you handed it over. I handed it over to God. Let God deal with that situation as it is. For my peace is more important. Yeah? And for surely, God did not delay. He dealt with the issue. But I was not struggling to make God deal with the issue. I know the issue was important. But I let God do what? Answer. And sometimes the answer you might get is, my grace is sufficient for you. For you. That means that problem you are facing should stay there. But I will make sure it will not destroy you. Paul was able to heal a lot of people, but he wasn't able to heal the thorn that was in his flesh. Why? There was a reason that was kept there. And God was honest to tell him, my grace is sufficient for you. He didn't give him an explanation. My grace is sufficient for you. And Paul found peace. Pastor, you had something.
faith, there's a divine science. It's a science that everyone who could make his life work as success. And the prayer of Naaman, not Naaman, that's not what I was saying. I was saying like some people, like I tend to think or feel, that's my own feeling, like Elijah was not entitled to doubt what God had actually done for him a few minutes ago, maybe hours, less than an hour. But see, Anne had actually been in the temple. So you have said, how many years? Several years. And she's bringing her petition every time she's asking anybody with a special petition to God. She goes in front every time. And the God had not answered her prayers. And yet she was not discouraged. But Elijah, that's where my question is. Elijah, God, he asked God immediately, and God answered his prayers. And a few 1 hour down the line, he's so discouraged, he went to commit suicide. So I met this one pastor in Toronto here, and he told me, Pastor, is God justice? Everything I've been doing in life, I've been so pushing, and it is so different in my life. I don't know this God. Everything has been so different from the way the day I went to school, the day I started processing to come to Canada. I'm like 7 nights. Everything has been so difficult. Even getting papers, it's been so difficult. Can you tell me, others is just a walk in the carpet, and me is a walk in the thought. Elijah is just being discouraged. You know, there are some people who grew up with the family, nice homes, eating bread in the morning, and every time life has been so soft. Yeah? Can you compare a person who has never gone through a soft life? One who has gone through soft life, when you step on a top, how easily are you to cast God? Right? We are easily able to cast God and say, why did God allow this? Just like Elijah. God has been with him for all the time. When he left him under discouragement for a short while, what did he say?
I'm not better than my fathers.
So he says,
Yeah.
it's better than.
Yeah.
So the question I'm bringing is, why does other people pass through so much difficulty? Does God care? Others pass through so much difficulty to get something they want, while others.
Some even are aborting them and throw them in the toilet. And there is someone praying for the same kid. Someone else is aborting. This comes with what we call, that man should have what called perseverance. And that is why we just read now, perseverance. Everyone's journey is different. And that is one thing we must acknowledge. Everyone's journey is different. But the most key thing here is surrendering to the will of God. Some struggles are meant to strengthen you. Some struggle are meant to build you. Some struggle are meant to teach someone else something. And that is why the Bible says God knows what is best for us. There is a reason some are having just butter. And there is but all these people, both the rich and the poor, belongs to who? Belongs to God. So if your journey has